I move on to organizational network, a carryover with barriers. Here I have discussed 3 different ways of organizational network. 1, which is horizontal communication, 2, which is vertical communication, and 3, dissemination from various sources. Now let's see what I mean by horizontal communication. This is very traditional. Message passes from one to the other, from one station to the other, and to the other, and the other. As a result, what happens, there is a lot of gossip, false distortion. Have you heard of Chinese whisper? It is somewhat like that. A lot of the meaning gets distorted, a lot gets added. The basic information might be lost in the process. So this kind of a horizontal communication sometimes can lead to frustration amongst the people because they have not been given the actual information what they are wanting to get. So that could be a little hazardous. Move on to the next. Vertical communication, more precise, direct access, right from the bottom to the top or vice versa, top to the bottom. That means right from the person sitting at the helm passes the information to the ones who are below, and his information comes down. On the other hand, what the mass or group want to communicate, they do so directly to the person sitting on top. So that's direct communication. It's more appropriate and there is lesser chances of any kind of distortion or gossip. But it is a little difficult to organize. But again, if the organization is open to this kind of communication, I think they could go a long way. Thirdly, dissemination from various sources. That means the information comes from various sources. It could be written information, it could be verbal information, it could come from one station, it could come vertically. The actual part is the feedback. Whether or not that information and the communication has reached the right group and the right person comes in the way of feedback. So that is also a very effective form of communication. So far, we have seen what the receiver oriented barriers could be. I am moving on to sender oriented barrier. The sender oriented barriers could be something like this: badly expressed message, loss in transmission, semantic problem, over and under communication, the I attitude, and of course prejudice. I will take up each one. A badly structured message can be made correct by calling it well structured message. It means if I want to message, by that I mean if I want to talk to somebody, it could be face-to-face, interface, interaction, it could be a telephone conversation, it could also be a media conversation. So what exactly I am trying to give here should be very, very well structured. My content, what I want my objective to be, should reach the person concerned. If there has to be a time, the time given, the venue given, and this is what I mean by a very well structured communication. Just a few sentences will not mean any kind of communication. It has to follow a structure. Next, we move on to the right choice of medium. Say for instance, the structured information that I want to give, I want to record it and pass it on for everybody to listen to it. That could be one medium. Secondly, I could also interact directly with the crowd. In that case, I need a proper microphone. which should be well placed, and the noise should not come in the way of my communication, but at the same time my voice should carry distinctly, clearly. So this is a kind of technological help. Third, simplicity and accurate words. What I am doing now, that is, you have to use simple words, don't use jargons. Semantic is jargon, that means words which you need to look for meaning, which are not very clear to you. Often heard words are not used. Now by that I do not mean do not use good vocabulary. Do it by all means, but see that it is simple enough for people to understand. If you think that it needs a little explanation, go back to explaining it. So that is what is absolutely required in a good communication. Make it simple but effective. The right quantum. How much you are going to tell. It should not be too little. Now that too little can again go with well structured. That is, a properly structured message should not be very abrupt. Now that, in the words of using the quantum part of it, I would say that right quantum means just enough for accurate delivery of the content. Not too much, not too little. Don't make it verbose, don't make it abrupt. General organizational approach. You see, general organizational approach would be very well taken if we organize whatever we want to do beforehand, so that in a large setup, in a large gathering, when we find that we need to communicate one-to-one, we need to communicate from station to station, we will have to use all and every possible method of communication, so that what I want to get across is well given, well taken. And lastly, a free mind. Don't be judgmental, don't have preconceived notion. You want to deliver something, do it with a positive energy. That is what we mean by a free mind. You have to be an effective sender. Now, I am trying to give you a gist of all that we've done. Say, if I start with the first one, have you noticed something? I've put them in blocks so that they are grouped together and you can focus them better. See what I have done in the first block. Empathy, confidence and trust. Now, I had spoken about emotion, I had spoken about interpersonal. All these come in the way of good communication. And what did I end with in my last slide? That have an open mind. Have an open mind, be free, positive, so that we have empathy. What does empathy mean? Feel for the other person. So when you are talking to somebody, you do not know what the subject matter or the content will be. If it is something which is like an event which has happened, if it is an incident which has happened, or something joyous which has happened, all of it, be a part of it as if you are there. That's empathy. So speak with empathy, feeling. Speak with confidence. That is, I know what I am saying. And speak with trust. If all the time we are sitting on the judgment seat, then our conversations will never ever be success. You will also be judged from the other side. they will be abrupt. They might not be well structured because you are only throwing words, you are only throwing sentences. But if you are a part of it, feeling is there, then all this group together will give you a good personality also. Second, pre-plan everything. Remember viewers, I told you the antidote for nervousness is planning, practice. So do that. You plan, pre-plan it. Not only that, I've planned and I've collated. This goes first, then comes this, and the third, finally. And here I have the entire plan as if I can see what I am about to do. That's called collating. Third, discuss with somebody. Put it this way, that this is what I am planning to do. Share it with somebody, ask for a feedback. Does this sound okay to you? Is my content clear to you? Is my objective getting across to you? Depending on that feedback, make a little adjustment. And finally, test run. Do a practice yourself if you have to face a big audience. Do a little bit of test run in your mind if you are going for an interview. Do a bit of test run in your mind if you are going to speak to an important person of an organization and you are supposed to take a very, very important project with you. All of that need to be pre-planned, collated. If you do not want to share, don't share, but do a pre-running of this whole plan in your mind. And lastly, time it well. As I said, not too much, not too little. The quantum is important. Words sync with action. Don't give an action which does not actually go with the words. If you are talking about serious, don't laugh aloud. If you are saying something humorous, do not frown. So these are small instances, there could be so many. And what we want is a gentlemanly or a ladylike approach when your action and your words have to match. And lastly, request for a feedback. That's the best way you know whether your message has been delivered or not. Thank you so much, viewers, for listening to my little suggestions here. Once again, I tell you, if you want to be a good communicator, practice, read, speak to people, and follow instructions as far as possible. I acknowledge the use of these books to some extent, but once again, let me tell you, printed matter cannot help you to be a good speaker. You have to try it yourself, and your personality should be developed in such a way that people would want to listen to you. Thank you so much.